All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and as part of Rankin Technical College AWD 1000 Web Development Technologies course, I've been creating a series of videos that are based on the Mozilla Developer Network, or MDN, Learn Web Development series. And where I am right now, just so you know, I've gone through the getting started with the web and the structuring the web, so I've gone through these sections here and this one here. I'm on CSS styling the web. I've gone over the first steps, and the second one, the building blocks, I'm up to debugging CSS, which is about the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th section or so of 13. All right. Now, probably out of all the stuff we've gone over, this is the thing that I use the least. And that's a bad thing. But they're mentioning here that, when you have things in your CSS that you don't understand or things that aren't going the way you want them to go, you will have to go in and you will have to do some debugging. All right. So the first thing that they mention in here is they said there's an article that's called What Are Browser Developer Tools? So let's start there. All right. Every modern web developer includes a powerful suite of developer tools, which do a lot of different things. From inspecting the currently loaded HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to showing you how long they took to load and other information. As it says, this article explains how to use the basic functions of the browser's dev tools. All right, it says before doing this, open the example site, which is right here. I'd already opened it and put my name in there. So it looked pretty much like this. All right. It says you should have it open as you follow the steps. So we'll do that. The DevTools inside of your browsers is a sub-window that looks roughly like this depending on the browser that you're using. So it should look like that. So in other words, when I come in here, where was I? There we go. Nope. Let's open this in a new tab. There we go. So when we come in here to open this and we right mouse click on it and choose Inspect, that's bringing up the DevTools. Now you can move this stuff over and do whatever you want to or need to do with it. All right, this can be put down on the bottom, etc. It's no big thing as far as what it is and where it goes to, etc. That's not what's important here. So I showed you how to open it. And it says, how do you pull it up? There's 3 ways. Well, let's just go over all 3 of those ways to start. All right. So when we were in here on the test page, let's close this and let's talk about ways to bring it up. One is what I already showed you, the context menu, right mouse click and choose Inspect. That's one way. Another way is to hit the F12 key on your function keys that are up above. Well, that's supposed to do it. It didn't appear to have. So let's see what else it says here. Control-Shift-I. Control-Shift-I, which also brought it up. And you can do it through the menu bar. So we could have chosen more tools, developer tools. What does that mean? That means that you can also come in here, click on the 3 dots there, more tools, and go down to developer tools. And notice Control-Shift-I, which is what we just used. So again, you notice that they're all basically are going to come up whether we do it that way or we right mouse click. Now this is going to look just a little bit different. It's bringing up the inspector, but basically it's the same information. Okay, so the inspector, DOM Explorer and CSS editor rather, as it says right here, the developer tools usually open by default to the inspector, which looks something like this. All right. And again, I believe that if I come in here, right mouse click and click on inspect, I think I can just grab this. Thought I could at least. Settings, customize. I know there is a way to take this and move it down, and I just wanted it to look more like it does, I guess, inside of the actual article, but we should have the same information, so hopefully that'll be okay. If you don't see the inspector, click the inspector tab. Well, that is what we brought up. You'll notice when we look in here, we've got styles, computed, layout. You can see how everything is changing when we do this. All right, so there's properties, for example, and if I click here, back to styles. All right, here we've got elements, so it's basically our page console. Now, don't worry about these things. These are just basically some warnings that the system has got, and that really and truly doesn't matter very much. But that said, there's things like network where you can check and see how long something took to load. All right. And let's just see if we get any explanation of the rest of the stuff. So as it says, for a start, right click on an HTML element in the DOM inspector and look at the context menu. The available menu options will vary depending upon the browser, but the important ones are mainly the same. All right, so what does that mean? Come back over to here. Let's close this. All right, so there's the image. You can see how there it is right there. All right, and we can go and find out different things regarding the image. Looks like it's 256 by 256 here. Taking a look at it, for example. All right, it looks like here where we look, the font size is 10 pixels. Can we manually change this? All right, and for example, can we change the font size on here to make it a different size? All right, it says that it took it. Not sure exactly where it changed it. By default, the editor displays the CSS rules for the currently selected element. So I showed you, for example, clicking on the image, what it did. This also shows you the box model. There's your content, there's your padding, there's your border, and there's your margin. All right, it says these features are especially handy. Well, most of them are the things that I've already shown you. All right, so it shows you things like the rules that have been applied, the HTML, and you'll notice that if something has been changed, typically it'll show you what the default was and it'll be crossed out and it'll show you what it changed to. As it says, there's a number of clickable tabs in the viewer, such as computed, layout, animations, etc. Computed shows the computed styles for the current element. Layout, notice as it says, if you're in Firefox, it includes the box model and the grid. I believe the grid is not shown in Chrome. And fonts. So we could go through and look at this same thing and we can look at it inside of here. All right, this is how it came up originally. I'm going to put it in here. Jeffrey P. Scott. Mozilla School, Jeffrey P. Scott. So again, if I come in here, right mouse click, and choose inspect, same kind of thing that we saw before. And again, if I click on here, very similar to what you saw before. Let me lift this up so it's a little higher. All right. And it's got the box model and it's got the different properties that are in here as well. I believe that is how it looked in the other one too. So that was box model, but I guess it doesn't show the properties. There's a JavaScript debugger in here. I'm not going to run through this now because we haven't talked about JavaScript yet. We'll go back and take a look at this later. You can put in things like watch expressions and breakpoints. Again, we'll get into all that stuff later on. Same thing with the JavaScript console. All right. So I didn't want to spend a boatload of time on this, but this became part 1 and it's 11 minutes. So what I have done thus far in the first 11 minutes is to quickly go through this, how to access browser dev tools. All right. So the next thing they talk about in here is the DOM versus view source. The DOM I look at as being active or interactive, whereas the view source is kind of a snapshot at any place and point in time. You cannot come in with the view source and make changes. You cannot come in and make changes to your page, but you can when you're in the DOM view. All right. So before we get into this inspecting the applied CSS, which we'll do next, let's stop it right here. So the first part is basically going to be on this, what are browser developer tools, and the DOM up to here. So we'll pick it up right here in just a couple minutes.